Hey Deckers, got lots of exciting updates for you today for No Man's Sky, Beat Slayer, the Thaumaturge, Go Fight Fantastic and Isonzo, as well as Fallout 76. But first, I've got something exciting to tell you about. Today's video is sponsored by UGREEN and their new Nexode RG 65-watt charger. With its revolutionary GAN fast chip achieving 95% energy conversion, this 65-watt fast charger can even charge a MacBook Air M2 to 51% in 30 minutes. So you got no problems at all charging your Steam Deck, and it looks absolutely amazing as well, with its snoozy eyes when it's idle, its smiley face when it's charging fast, and its happy little eyes when it's finished or trickle charging. We have no issue with it fast charging. The Steam Deck still able to output 45 watts with two other devices loaded up. This device looks absolutely fantastic on the shelf when not in use and is a great addition to any plug. Check out the link in the description below if you want to pick one of these up for yourselves. Onto the performance roundup then. First up we have No Man's Sky. Recently got another free content update with its orbital update and is running better than ever on the deck. Although we do still get occasional load spikes as we're entering on and off planets, we are still managing to run pretty much a solid 60 frames a second throughout. If we run this at the standard graphics settings with FXAA on, motion blur off, and everything else as standard, which does set base complexity to enhanced, leaving anisotropic filtering at 1 and FXAA on, just turning motion blur off, which is why it's showing as custom. Other than that, everything is stock and looks absolutely fantastic. As I said, going into the anomaly, you will get the occasional load spike and as we exit planets, but for the most part, staying at a solid 60 frames per second on the LCD or up to 90 on the OLED. Next up we have Beat Slayer. Huge thanks to BXDXO for giving us a key via Lurkit to test this one out. If Hades and Hi-Fi Rush had a baby, Beat Slayer is what you'd get. As you can see, there's not a huge amount on the graphics front, so you don't need to show that, but it will play at a solid 60 to 90 frames per second on the OLED and a pretty much 60 solid on the LCD. Now this is all about timing and getting things right on the beat, which is extremely satisfying, especially as the soundtrack is absolutely banging for obvious reasons. But if you are struggling with those timings or you're swapping between headphones or external screens, then you do need to make sure you come into the calibration menu and you'll see just how much of a delay I have when playing via the capture card. So as long as you shift this into the right area, then you're going to have a fantastic time on this game. And believe it or not, Bluetooth headphones do introduce some lag, so make sure you calibrate it to have the best gameplay. Once you've got that, you'll be able to hit those beats and get those combos rocking, so you'll be having a fantastic time in Beat Slayer. Let us know what your highest combo is. Mine's around 200. I think 220 is my absolute max that I've hit so far, but it's a great time either way. The Thaumaturge did finally remove their Steam Deck preset cap, so you can now go and change their settings. And with the settings I'm going to recommend, even in the boss fights, we are still holding over 30 frames per second and a fairly stable frame rate as well. But you are going to want to lock the deck at 40 to give a better overall feel on this one. So start with the low preset, and then we're going to obviously make sure motion blur is disabled, but then bring up the shadow quality and the texture quality to a medium and hit apply on that. Now I haven't seen a huge amount of difference between the resolution scaling of TSR high and also the AMD FSR 3 on high, so personal preference on that one, but you want one or the other. And then, as I said, if you cap your deck at 40, you're going to have a really smooth playthrough and the frame times are absolutely spot on. So this is definitely the way you want to be playing the Thaumaturge from now on. Go Fight Fantastic is up next. Huge thanks to AG Creators for giving us a key to test this one out on deck. No settings needed for this. It runs absolutely perfect out of the box and there aren't really any graphics settings to choose from. Running at a solid 60 frames per second on the LCD or 90 on the OLED. You have 3 characters to switch between in single player, although it really is more designed as a co-op game, as you want to be able to have those characters playing off of each other, but being able to switch between them does mean that you are able to make the most of each of their specials. It just makes it a little bit more tricky. Unfortunately, every time I've tried to play this online, I've not managed to find any matches to do co-op, so you may need to arrange that in advance, as it doesn't seem to have a huge player base right now, and I'm hoping that this improves. It's a fantastically graphical game, very easy, but also difficult to master, especially when there's a lot of monsters going on. Swapping between the right characters can be a little bit tricky. Isonzo's up next, and a huge thanks to Creative Focus for sending me a key to test this one out. And this game does come with a huge warning that you will die a lot, and they were not joking. Most of the time I spawn in and get shot before I've even realised where I'm running to, but overall this is actually running really well on the deck and was on sale and even free to play for a period of time on Steam, so keep your eye out for that one. But this has been running at a good 40 to 60 frames per second without issues, but because you really do need to spot those players, as it's not the easiest of games, especially when your enemy is pretty much the same colour as the background. You may want to play this on a bigger screen or connect up to a TV or something to get the most out of it. Now settings wise, this is pretty much on the lowest preset, and I did set the FSR 2.2 to balanced mode to get the best out of this, with the VSync off and the max frame rate at 60, motion blur off, but everything else pretty much as default, and I was getting between 40 and 60 frames per second depending on the map, but no issues with frame time or input latency, apart from my capture card issue, but you shouldn't have any issues on deck if you want to play this one. Last up, we have Fallout 76, and if you're quick, this has got 80% off until the 19th of April, so you can pick up an absolute bargain, and it's running absolutely phenomenally well on the deck, but you will want to cap this at 40 frames per second again on the deck itself to get the most stable experience. Now, overall, I am running the medium preset with no real tweaks, and you can run this at 1280 by 800 just because my capture card has lost 800p again for some reason, but you can run it at 800p on deck. Cap it at 40 frames per second via the inbuilt frame limiter with the VSync off in game, and you will have a fantastically stable experience. Now I am going to delve into this a little bit more, and feel free to share your settings in the comments below for me to test out as a more dedicated video, as I do feel that we can get this looking a little bit better, especially with the trees and the shrubbery. Just looks a little bit off for me at the moment, but it is playable as it is. That's it for the performance roundup this week. Don't forget to check out that robo-charger in the description below and let us know what you've been playing. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.